This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Homeowner slaps the Ministry of Health regional body with $3 million lawsuit for unpaid rent. A Jamaican homeowner has filed a $3 million lawsuit against the Southeast Regional Health Authority for unpaid rent on a furnished house she has leased the state to house Cuban doctors and nurses brought to Jamaica to help with the government's management of the novel coronavirus pandemic. The claim filed by Michelle Knott Nichols, a senior deputy sheriff, Master Deputy Sheriff in Clayton County, Georgia, United States, states that the Southeast Regional Health Authority has failed to pay rent for the period March 2021 to October 2021, and as such has breached the terms of the lease agreement signed in November 2020 by the Southeast Regional Health Authority's then Regional Director Maureen Golding. Under the 2-year lease agreement, Southeast Regional Health Authority was to pay Knott Nichols $363,000 each month after making a security deposit of $560,000 for the use of the St. Andrew House. The statutory body paid the required sums between December 3, 2020 and January 7, 2021. The lease also required the Southeast Regional Health Authority to pay the water and electricity bills. However, the payment stopped after the January payment, and Knott Nichols resorted to sending demand letter to Errol Green, Southeast Regional Health Authority's then acting regional director, on June 16, July 6, and August 1 this year. Yesterday, Knott Nichols told the news that despite traveling to Jamaica on at least 4 occasions since March this year to meet with Green and other officials of the health ministry, the matter has not been settled. They keep giving me the runaround even though they acknowledge that they owe me, Knott Nichols said. During the time that the rent was not being paid, I had to be paying the utility bills just to ensure that the doctors and the nurses were comfortable, she said, disclosing that she spent just under $3 million on fixtures and security for the property. On October 11, 2021, Knott Nichols' attorney Christopher Henry wrote to the Southeast Regional Health Authority giving the entity notice to quit the property. In the particulars of her claim, which names the Attorney General as second defendant, Knott Nichols states that the sum of $3,267,000 is the outstanding rent due. She is also asking the court to award cost and other relief as may be just. Military officer being questioned in relation to controversial religious group in St. James. The news has been informed that a senior member of the Jamaica Defense Force is under investigation for his alleged role in the operations of the Pathways International Kingdom Restoration Ministries in Montego Bay, St. James. Sources told the news that the officer, a captain, was placed in military confinement after his photograph was allegedly found inside the church last week. It's reported that the Jamaica Defense Force commenced an investigation after reviewing videos with the leader of the controversial organization, Kevin Smith. In the videos, which have been circulating on social media, a photograph of the JDF captain and his wife were seen placed in a chair behind Mr. Smith on the pulpit. It's understood that the soldier is being questioned to ascertain whether he's a senior member of the church. The news was informed that Mr. Smith was questioned last weekend by detectives attached to the Major Investigation Division who are probing the deaths of 2 congregants last week. Mr. Smith was taken into custody on Sunday after the police stormed the church based in Albion Meadows following reports that congregants were being killed as part of a religious ritual. 39-year-old Tanika Gardner and an unidentified man were found dead in the church. Their throats had been slashed. 14 children who were found among the congregants are now in state care. Cabinet set to decide on when to resume face-to-face classes. The Cabinet could decide today on a timetable for the resumption of face-to-face classes in public schools. The Ministry of Education last week submitted a plan for the consideration of the Cabinet for the return to face-to-face classes. The news sources say the matter was discussed during a meeting of the Cabinet Subcommittee on COVID-19 last Friday with the full complement of ministers expected to make a decision today. Prime Minister Andrew Holness signaled that the matter is due for consideration during one of his vaccination stops in North Clarendon last week. The consideration is for a return to face-to-face for the vaccinated category of students, but we have to also look at where we are in present wave, said Holness. I am appealing especially to parents who would like to see their children return to school to get vaccinated, and when the vaccines that are approved for children come, please get your child vaccinated, added Holness, who has repeatedly declared his desire to see a return to face-to-face classes. According to Holness, the one solution to getting students back into the physical classrooms is to increase the vaccination rate. He again encouraged the parents to do the right thing for their children and get them vaccinated. Holness has argued that Jamaica's COVID-19 positivity rate is not low enough to risk returning to activities that may cause the virus to spread. During a previous trip to vaccines sites in Clarendon North Central, Holness had made it clear that he wanted to see a resumption of face-to-face classes as he urged people to get vaccinated. There is one voiceless victim in all of this, which I am really passionate about, and I think that is the area that has suffered the most, and that is the education system and our children. They are not out there complaining, but they have suffered the most because some people are choosing to pursue their own freedom without thinking how this impacts a fulfilled life for others. And the longer we take to bring the pandemic under control and control the virus, is the greater the impact will be on our children. I will not allow that to happen. So yes, we will respect people's rights. We will follow the process before we do anything to infringe on people's rights, but the two things can't continue in parallel. The children must go back to school. They have suffered the most, said a strident Holness at that time. Any decision by the government to resume face-to-face classes should have the endorsement of the opposition People's National Party and the Jamaica Teachers Association. At a meeting last Friday, the JTA's Central Executive gave its support for a phased resumption of face-to-face schooling, but said the decision must be guided by the Disaster Risk Management Act and that the Ministry of Education should outline a structured resumption plan. The JTA added that all schools must be provided with the required resources as stipulated by public health protocols and priority given to students preparing for external examinations. In the meantime, the opposition's shadow person on education, Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, last week called on the government to reopen all public schools. She said this could be achieved through a variety of methods, which include dividing classes into smaller groups so that every student can attend in-person classes for at least 1 day per week. Despite the mismanagement of the Pfizer vaccine distribution, our children's education cannot continue to be placed on hold. A generation of children is at risk of irreversible learning loss, malnutrition, and poor mental health outcomes. All of us should be concerned about the growing inequality amongst children, as too many of them remain out of school without any access to structured education, said Brown-Burke. She also called on the government to appoint social workers and additional guidance counselors to ensure that the psychosocial needs of the children are met. Brown-Burke demanded that all arrangements for the reopening of schools begin no later than this week, and that the government immediately implements a coordinated approach by the Ministries of Education, Transport and Works, and Health for a transportation plan to minimize crowding and exposure for students using public transportation. The opposition spokesperson also urged the government to utilize the plans developed more than 1 year ago by school administrators and others, which determined the maximum capacity of each classroom while observing physical distancing guidelines. Brown-Burke also called for the strict adherence to COVID protocols such as mask wearing, hand washing, and sanitizing, and argued that parents and guardians should be given the option of having students participate in online classes only if they have underlying conditions. Parents should agree to keep children at home if they feel sick or are showing any of the listed symptoms of COVID-19, said Brown-Burke. Huge supply of Pfizer vaccines coming shortly. The news has been informed that the U.S. government has decided to consolidate its donation of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to Jamaica, with 400,000 doses now expected to arrive before the middle of November. A source said the decision has been made to send a single large donation to Jamaica. 2 tranches, each comprising 200,000 doses, were previously expected from the U.S. On September 15, Jamaica suspended administration of the Pfizer vaccine as the supply of the medication had been depleted. The Health Ministry had started offering the vaccine to children aged 12 and older in an attempt to have in-person classes resume for those in high school. Those efforts have now stalled as the country awaits more shipments of the Pfizer brand. Falmouth Hospital receives a digital computer reader. The radiology department of the Falmouth Hospital in Trelawney has received a digital computer reader valued at $200,000 donated by the Greenside Benevolent Society. Harris Daly, secretary of GBS, said his organization has maintained a close relationship with the Falmouth Hospital over the years and are always seeking out opportunities to assist the Type C hospital, which is the only major hospital in Trelawney. Over 42 members have contributed in various ways to the hospital over the years, said Daly. Our involvement spans participating in fundraisers as well as providing support from our pockets. Daly said that they recently learned that the hospital was in need of the computer reader and decided to procure one for the institution. The hospital, which has taken on an increased workload since activities at the Cornwall Regional Hospital in Montego Bay was significantly scaled down due to a noxious fumes issue, which started in late 2016. Orville Anderson, who manages medical imaging at the hospital, said the digital computer reader will assist with the department being better able to function at its optimum level. This donation continues to keep us ahead of many hospitals, including Cornwall Regional Hospital, said Anderson. It makes the transfer of images to the wards easier for our doctors. They can sit with patients and view the images and discuss them. While he is happy at receiving the latest gift, Anderson said the department needs many more readers, and he is hoping that other kind entities might be able to help in getting them. To be fully complete, we need another 15 readers, which will allow all the departments we serve to be fully covered, said Anderson. Prudence Wedderburn, the hospital's chief executive officer, said she was grateful for the gift as the hospital, which is under consideration to be upgraded to a Type B facility, is seeking to gradually modernize its operations. Our hospital is always in need of modern systems. The government alone cannot fill the need, said Wedderburn. It is organizations like yours who are willing to respond to our needs. We are forever grateful to you. Never ever forget us. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.